how's it going? Dead ball dancing. Just right off the top, I have to tell everybody that there are new baseball shirts in the shop.
6 + 4 + 3 = 2.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, I don't know, so you have to teach me and the audience because
That's a double play. That's a double play, baby.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right. Okay,
643. 643 gets you two.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
So,
It's winning.
got some new stuff out there, some new merch. Check the merch.
Beautiful.
If I get a single comment on this video asking for it, I will make some dead ball dancing merch.
Can someone please get in the freaking comments? Like, please get in the comments. Chats count too. I just made that up. So, unbelievable.
Definitely having some lighting issues on my part. I apologize for. Oh shit, Riley's watching.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah, I was filming in the daylight and my face was looking weird, so I changed. See, and now I'm losing. There we go.
Fine. You're all right. It's they're here to hear us talk, not necessarily see us. They definitely don't want to see.
And that's a good thing because we'd have way fewer viewers if they were here to see us.
Yeah. I'm ugly, so I fully agreed. So
I wasn't going to say anything, but at least 50% of the show.
Yeah, agreed. So let's just get it out the way right away. I don't want to waste any more time. Good win by Wisconsin.
I wasn't even going to say anything.
Yep, nope. Went into Mackey, handled business. Definitely, thank you, Riley. Definitely disappointed, but man of my word, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go forward with the hat. It's something I would wear anyways. I don't necessarily hate the Badgers, so I'm kind of looking forward to rocking it, man. I think it's gonna be really interesting to show up to ASU in the 100-degree heat wearing a Badger hat.
No kidding.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Good win by Wisconsin. They look real good. They look real sharp right now, and Purdue's got a tough one coming up here against Michigan State. I think they pulled that out, but we'll see, man. So I just want to start with that.
Well, and I told you last week, like this kind of game they win, right? So now I'm looking at this home game against an Illinois team we've talked a lot about, and I'm very uncomfortable because that's the kind of game they'll lose. And all the goodwill goes out the window. So I haven't seen the AP rankings. I've been trying to distance myself from that, but unless Illinois got back in, that's going to look like a bad loss.
Yeah, and Illinois is not back in. And again, you and I don't care about AP. They haven't been in our rankings in a while. I know Wisconsin, I believe, is all the way up to either 10 or 11 in AP, and Purdue, I believe, is at 13, which seems and feels right-ish. They might have got those two right, but Wisconsin obviously up 11 slots, deservedly so. And that's up 11 slots without me slotting them in my top 25 just because I was so fucking angry. Right. So
I saw the spite that you were throwing out there.
Yep.
I have to say, I have told several people who are watching this show that I was going to go out of my way to take Purdue out of my top 25. So I did.
Fair.
Have them at 26. I don't think that's necessarily the right thing, but that's where they're sitting for me right now.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think it's funny. I think you have Purdue at 26, and I think I have Wisconsin at 26. So you and I are just like playing with each other's hearts here a little bit. But I think end of the day, we're going to start seeing those two teams get a lot closer, like they are in our rankings as well. So I just wanted to touch on a few high-level things before we jump into particulars. I think we got a lot of good content to cover today. So a couple of things. You've said it multiple times this year, and I just want to reiterate it. I'm tired of powerhouse teams or recent high majors playing like garbage, and I'm not going to give them respect anymore. Just like, for example, I took UCLA, Marquette, and Creighton all out of my top 25, and I don't think they're in ours either, which you're seeing on the board here. And I started slotting in teams that I think deserved it. Kansas State, one team that you're seeing on, two teams you're seeing on the screen here, we'll talk about a little bit, and McNeese, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. So I don't know what your thoughts are there. A lot of bad basketball still being played by those big guys.
Yeah, and I have to eat a little bit of crow here. I still have UCLA in my rankings. I have them at 22. And I guess I'll just jump just a touch ahead here. I got 3 University of California schools in the tournament as everything sits right now. UCLA, UC Irvine, and UC San Diego, who's been kind of streaking here lately. So I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I left UCLA in because I think they're a tournament team.
Yep.
And my rankings are going to have to start turning here to what is real.
Yep.
I really like the discourse that we've done, just kind of separating ourselves from the national stage.
Yep.
But at some point here, at least for me, I have to start putting in teams that are actually going to make it. Like Mississippi State are going to play each other coming up here, I believe, and like one's going to be out.
Yep.
So I actually have started to distance myself from some of these teams that I've hung my hat on throughout the year.
Yep.
Because if they lose one more game, they're not a tournament team.
Great.
I bounced Drake all the way to 23. Drake had a really bad, not a bad loss. It was a hard fought game, but it's against an inferior team. And so, VCU's up to 17 for me, and Drake's down to 23. And if Drake wins out, Drake won't finish the season in my top 25. And it's just kind of that difference between what I'm seeing on the court and what is going to happen in real life.
Yeah.
Like the Drake team that plays another tight game, there's a world where they don't make the tournament if they don't win their conference.
Right.
And it's becoming more and more realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But I don't know. If like for me, the teams that I'm slotting in, I think are actually like, let's look at Utah State, for example, right? Like I got Utah State at 16 in mind because I love the way they play. I love how balanced they are. There's a chance that they don't win their conference because of one of the teams that I'm going to talk about on notice. But I feel like they've done enough to snag an at-large just because they have a couple really good Power 4 wins. So I'm right in that same boat with you, but I'm also trying to put in teams that I enjoy watching still. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to find that balance. But with some of these losses by these big schools, man, like I'm just getting tired of it. And I just decided, screw it. Like I'm going to start playing with my top 25.
Yeah. Quick look at the board here. Michigan State, Arizona, Michigan, Texas, Mississippi State, St. John's, Tennessee, Purdue, all down, most after 2 loss weeks.
Yep.
And then that's kind of what you're speaking to. I mean, like these are big programs. These are big 3 conference teams who have been running the table for the season here. And, if you start stringing together conference losses in a row, it's kind of tough to stay up at the top here. Even Alabama down 3 slots in our top 5 all the way to number 4.
Yep.
I mean, you had your setup, right? You had number 1 versus number 2. It was a great game, but they lost it.
Yep.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to win that game or you're not a top 5 team.
Agreed.
So, still hanging on here, but there's a lot of basketball left to go in the SEC.
I agree fully. I don't have any SEC call outs necessarily. The one thing that I do want to say before I give you a layup is Iowa State is back, dude. Like they just won 3 straight, 1 game by 30 and the other 2, I think by 10 plus. They got that kid back. That's like 6'8" white dude that just does everything on the floor. And I didn't realize how much of a difference maker that kid is. But man, they look sharp again after, sliding pretty far in our rankings from essentially a perennial 2 or 3 spot all the way down to I think 9 they were last week. Happy to see him back up 2 and happy to see him play really good basketball. So there's 2 teams in particular I want to talk about in my top 25 or the top 25 here. But first, is Kansas the best team in Kansas anymore?
So I struggle with this. I went back and forth a little bit in my notes, and I went back looking at the last 5-6 years of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So the Big 12 changed, right? The Big 12 had a big change.
Yep.
They brought in talent.
Yep.
Instead of playing in what was a small conference against small conference teams in basketball, right?
Yep.
Different sports are different, but they bring in powers. They bring in basketball powers into the Big 12.
Yep.
I am less and less convinced with every passing game that Kansas was ever good.
Yep.
Now, I know Kansas people, they've won more games than anyone but like 2 programs. They've won championships. They're really, really good at basketball. I understand that.
Yep.
But Kansas is not the Kansas we know in our heads.
No.
I think they're closer to the Kansas I know in my heart, which is Kansas football.
Yeah, right.
The losses to Creighton, Mizzou, West Virginia, Iowa State, Houston, Baylor, Kansas State, Utah.
Yep.
Right. And any one of those is fine. There's not a single team on that list that I would call awful.
Yep.
Baylor or Utah is probably the worst of the bunch.
Agreed.
And Baylor's probably going to be a tournament team.
Yep, they are. Yep.
So those losses aren't that big of a deal.
No.
Unless you take them all together, and unless you have this mental running narrative, this communal societal narrative that Kansas is a god.
Yep.
Well, God doesn't lose to Creighton.
Right.
God doesn't lose to Mizzou. And God doesn't lose to West Virginia. And they surely don't lose to all of them in the same year. They also lose to Baylor, K-State, and Utah.
Agreed.
So I just kind of took a look backwards. Would Kansas have won the Big 12, this Big 12, in any of the last 5 years?
No.
And the answer I came to was no.
No.
And so if now the narrative, right, small conference Kansas is a powerhouse because they win their small conference, well, who are we talking about? We're talking about Gonzaga. So that's really where I came back to. Is Kansas Michigan State? Is Kansas old UCLA? Or is Kansas Gonzaga?
Yeah.
And I think Kansas is closer to Gonzaga than they are to these perennial blue bloods.
Well, I mean, the first year that they had actual competition, they're crapping the bed, right?
And there's been injuries, right? And they've played these games tight, but I'm not saying Kansas isn't good, right? That's hyperbole.
Yeah.
You're either here or you're not. And my argument is that they're not, and maybe they never were.
Yeah, I agree. And then that's part of the reason we got away from the AP, right? A perennial top 5 AP team, Kansas, right? And they were perennial top 5, like Gonzaga was perennial top 5 in the case that they weren't clearly playing anybody in their conference schedule.
Yeah. So I mean, the question I have to ask you, Justin, I'll throw it straight back. The question you asked me: is Kansas the best basketball school in the state of Kansas?
I don't think so. At least not this year, right? Like. You look at just recent trends, right? And in the same time frame that Kansas lost to Creighton, Missouri, West Virginia, Iowa State, Houston, Baylor, Kansas State, and Utah, K-State has rattled off 6-1 in the last 7, including wins over Iowa State, Arizona, Kansas, right? With their only loss, I think, coming to like Baylor or something like that, or BYU. I apologize, BYU just got them, I believe. And it's like you look at the rest of the season, right? And I don't know who Kansas has to play. Right? Like I haven't looked at their schedule because I've been so focused on what Kansas State is doing. They have Utah, ASU, UCF, Colorado, and Cincinnati, and Iowa State. They're going to win 5 out of those last 6 games. And if they're going into the Big 12 tournament, playing like they're playing now and rattling off like a 12-2 record in their last 14 games, there's no way that Kansas is the best team in Kansas, right? So, I mean, we saw Kansas State live show heart and fortitude, unlike I've seen out of Kansas in the past 3 years. So I think the tables are turning, man. I think I would take K-State over Kansas right now as the best team in Kansas for sure, no doubt.
And it wouldn't be crazy to put Creighton in the argument.
It wouldn't be crazy to put Creighton in the argument.
Oh, Creighton's in Nebraska. I might have just shown my
you're good.
Ass.
Yeah, I think they're close to Omaha, I believe. But yeah. I mean, right? Aren't they? Yeah, they're in Nebraska.
Yeah, so it's not Kansas. All right, roast me. Fucking roast me. I'll eat it.
They kind of all blend together.
Kansas is not the best bird in the Midwest.
No, not at all. I mean, Creighton beat them. Kansas State beat them. I mean, they don't. I fully agree with your sentiment. Now, I'm going to shift gears quickly, and I'm going to ask you another question. Is Maryland potentially the most underappreciated basketball team in the nation? And 2, are they the best team in the Big Ten?
They're not the best team in the Big Ten.
Okay.
I think it is totally fair to think that the media has slept on Maryland. I think to a certain extent we have slept on Maryland.
Agreed.
They've moved kind of in and out of our rankings.
Yep.
I currently have them at 19. Yep. Ken Palm. I don't even know if they're in the top 40 at Ken Palm. Oh yeah, they are. They're 14 on Ken Palm. Yep. So I think the way that Maryland plays basketball has kind of gone under the radar because they were supposed to be worse than Rutgers. They're supposed to be worse than Illinois.
Yep.
They're supposed to be worse than Ohio State.
Yep.
And they don't really compete with, I'll say, Illinois, Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, Wisconsin, Oregon in a normal year. Right, they don't match up correctly with those teams. So I get why the media was down on them at first, but now they're 20-6.
21-6, I believe now. I think, and I think 11-5 in conference. I could be wrong. Keep me honest.
Unless they won in the last 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. So I'm slightly off there, but this team is scary. This team is really scary. They were down 51-47 in the first half versus Iowa, and then outscored them 54-24 in the second half.
Yeah.
Dude. They're 15-1 at home. I need to read you some of these stats because I'm struggling to find a more well-balanced team on both sides of the ball than Maryland. Let's look into their offense real quick, right? They're explosive, but somehow they're controlled. Makes no sense. 13th in scoring offense, 20th in field goal percentage, 35th in three-point percentage. They've committed 10 or fewer turnovers 13 out of 27 games and have been in single-digit turnovers 7 games as well. Teams are only averaging 5 steals against them and 2 blocks, which is 9th best and 7th best in the country overall, right? They're 3rd in the country in first half points and 34th in the country in second half points. They're averaging a 16-point win margin this year, which is 6th best in the country. That's just offensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball, they're just outside the top 50 in scoring defense. They're 53rd, dude. They're 76th in field goal percentage defense at 41.7% per game. They held Wisconsin to 40% from the field in their 8-point win over Wisconsin, which is wild. I'm not trying to stir the pot. I'm just saying the Wisconsin win was huge for them. That is a very, very big win. They're just outside the top 50 in blocks. They're forcing 15 turnovers a game, which is 45th in the nation, and turning them into 18 points off. So I'm looking at this team and I'm like, how can you be so balanced on both sides of the ball? They're deep. They have 5 players averaging over 12 points per game, and 2 of them are doing it on 55% from the field and 60% from the field. 60% from the field. And they played 26 games, I'm sorry now? That's absurd. And one thing that I wanted to call out about this team, and I think what makes them click, this Derek Queen guy, I watched a recent Maryland game. This kid is flying under the radar, Rick. I mean, how he hasn't got a nod for a potential player of the year candidate is nuts. 16 points a game, 9 rebounds on 55% from the field and 77% from the line as a big. I don't know. I think that if Maryland played Michigan State, Michigan, or Purdue right now, I don't see a world in which they lose that game, given what they've shown me year to date. So they're frightening. They're scary because, we very well could look at the end of the Big Ten season and see them in second.
Yeah. Well, and they got to play Michigan State.
Yep.
They got to play Michigan. We've been avoiding the bracketology thing. We got a show coming up on it.
Yep.
Maryland's a top 20 team in the country for me.
Oh, yeah.
I have Maryland on a 4. Maryland's going to be a 4 seed.
Yeah, I agree.
And, they might get to 25 wins.
I think they're going to.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you here. I think their schedule played into why the AP and the general public is downplaying them a little bit.
Yeah.
They played no one outside the Big Ten. They played Marquette and lost.
Yeah.
They played Nova and barely won.
Yep.
And then they picked off the Little Sisters of the Poor, which is what you're supposed to do, right? That's how you do this. You win your games, you go to your conference, you win your conference, and you're good. So I'm not going to knock them for winning by 40 against Elkhorn State or winning by 35 against Bucknell, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But I think that's why they've kind of flown under the radar a little bit. But we are still talking about the AP's number 20 team. I think they're under-respected, but I think they're going to end up where they're supposed to be when it's all said and done, because the games are going to play out, right? So unless they blow both games against Michigan State and Michigan,
right?
USC, Penn State, Northwestern, that doesn't scare me. You just beat those teams by beating Iowa. You know, beating Iowa by 30 points is a great proxy for how Penn State's going to play you.
Right. And I don't like, I'm glad that we're talking about them for once this season, because I've never seen a team be top 3 in points per game. I'm sorry, not top 3, top 30 in points per game, field goal percentage, and 3-point percentage. Like that is crazy to me. So I don't know who they got left. And they got Michigan State. You just said they got Penn State. Like there's a world in which they win out. And then we're not talking about Maryland as a 4 seed. Like imagine they win out and then win the Big Ten tournament. Like we're talking about Maryland as a 2, right? So I want people to keep an eye on how good this team is. So let me stop there and turn it back over to you, because I know we got a couple more things for our top 20.
Yeah, I dropped a blind resume in here, and you were in the sheet as I was doing it, and you got a little spicy. So you took a little offense with my cherry picking stats.
I did,
and I've been looking at yours here, and
good.
I'm unclear on what you're comparing to what, but I'm interested for yours. So I'm gonna open with mine. I got a blind resume, viewers. Team A is 4th in field goal percentage, 20th in rebounds, 1st in assists, 7th in free throw percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Team B is 10th in field goal percentage, 309th in rebounding, 33rd in assists, and 163rd in free throw percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is not which team wins on a neutral court. My question is which team wins a tournament game with field goal shooting, rebounding, assisted baskets, and free throws, which I think we can both agree
important
are 4 of the most important categories in college basketball.
Very important. Very important. I agree. What's the strength of schedule for Team A and Team B?
Doesn't matter.
Why not?
No, I said, does it matter?
Of course it matters. If you have a top 4 in field goal, 20th in rebounds, 1st in assists, and 7th in free throws, but you're playing California School for the Blind, aren't you just stat padding at that point, or no?
Maybe.
I'm just curious.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So let me pose a question here.
Mm-hmm.
Just so Justin knows what we're talking about.
Yep.
But here's the question. Are back-to-back losses to Michigan and Wisconsin better or worse than back-to-back losses to St. Mary's and San Francisco?
You're saying what is the worst? What is the worst loss? What is the worst?
Yeah, which is the worst batch of losses? I think you and I actually agree on this.
The worst batch of losses would be St. Mary's and USF.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So this is Gonzaga Purdue.
Correct.
This is Gonzaga Purdue.
Correct.
My question.
Yep.
Is what in the hell does free throw percentage have to do with strength of schedule? And at what point does that come home to roost? This was not a roast. This was a roast of Purdue. This was all to feed into when it comes tournament time. Can you be 163rd in free throw percentage and expect to win a game?
Yeah. And honestly, it's a really, really good question. No. Well, ultimately you can't, but my problem lies in that we can't necessarily look at percentage without looking at attempts, right? So like agreed fully, but like, let me just give 2 examples, right? So 7th in free throw percentage, which is wildly freaking efficient. I think they're shooting like almost 80%, right? Nuts. But they're 132nd in attempts and 55th in makes, right? So yeah, you're shooting unbelievably for the free throw line, because are you really getting there, right? Like, and it's the same thing. Let's do one more example, right? The team that is the best in the nation in free throws, right, at 84% is 115th in attempts. So wouldn't the shouldn't your percentage be higher if you're taking less? Just a thought. But you're correct.
It's a fair argument.
If you're 163rd in the country in free throws, you're not going to win. You're not going to win the title. You're not even going to win games that you should. Right? Agreed.
Yeah, I am concerned. I am concerned.
Agreed.
And right, I went looking for the sample because of your fandom, but looking at a top 15 team in our rankings with Purdue, I am concerned that Purdue won't be able to close out a Power 3 team. In the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, given the way we just looked, I completely agree. I have no leg to stand on after losing 2 games that we should have won. I could not agree more.
They had Wisconsin dead to rights.
Yeah.
They had Wisconsin dead to rights, and then they couldn't get within 10 points in the second half.
Nope.
And that's not a Wisconsin thing. That was a Purdue thing.
Agreed.
Every time they got moving, they would make mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. Wisconsin didn't shoot their way to a 10-point lead. Purdue dribbled it off of feet and had offensive fouls and missed easy shots, and the shot selection was bad. And that's more what I'm concerned about, because at the end of the day, I'm a Big Ten guy. I would love nothing more than 4 Big Ten teams to be in the Final Four.
I agree.
What I don't want is the current state of Purdue basketball to ruin my all Big Ten Final Four, because they're just not playing the way that they're capable of. They are better than their last 2 games. They are better than Michigan. They are probably better than Wisconsin.
Are they?
Right? The body of work says yes. Purdue is favored in that game at home. Not because Mackey's a hard place to play, because it's fucking not.
It's not.
But because Purdue's the better team. Like, Mackey's a tough place to play because Purdue is good.
Yeah, agreed.
So for Purdue to be a 5.5-point favorite, which is where that closed, was right. It was correct, right? So this is where I'm going to start to turn my focus to. Texas Tech is another team. Texas Tech is another team that is really good.
Yeah.
Are they a Final Four team? Can they be the best team in their conference?
Yeah, I agree.
When push comes to shove, and then that's really where I'm starting to look now is, are these teams who they've shown us recently, or are these teams their pedigree?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm spicy in the comments because I'm pissed naturally, right? So I hope you don't take that personally, because I love you and I love what you've done for the show. I think my thing that I always come back to is the holistic picture. Right, because it's like when you look at a high percentage, right? Like based on what attempts, right? I mean, you can shoot 100% and have the highest field goal percentage in the nation if you take a shot a game, right? So it's like when we think about these types of things, and that's why I love these conversations, right? It's like I want us and the viewers to think about it in terms of percent, but attempts and makes, right? Like just try to look at it like that way. But agreed, dude. Like I don't think. Go ahead.
Well, and that's why it's interesting. Like, you played basketball, I did not, right?
Yeah.
So for me, a free throw is literally that. It's free.
Agreed.
There's zero reason.
Agreed.
Anyone should ever miss a free throw, right? And I know that's incorrect, right?
Yeah.
I know that's incorrect. It's not basketball.
Yeah.
But as someone who didn't play basketball, conditioning doesn't matter for free throws. Practice shouldn't matter. You had nothing but time. None of these guys are going to class. Get in the gym and shoot your free throws.
Agreed.
Background doesn't matter. That was scientifically proven. You can't even see the shit that's going on behind the backboard. Shoot the fucking ball, player, right? No. Right. So like 100% should be what we strive for. So yes, I understand it's not that, right? It's not a vacuum. These players are people. So what you're saying is 100% correct, right? Like, sample size matters. But you should hit 100% of the shot that's literally called free.
Agreed. I agree. And my dad, who's watching, is freaking out about this because he's been preaching this forever.
Like, at the end of the day, conceptually, it comes down to discipline, practice, right? Like, it never changes. Every single gym, it's not like baseball where deep right is different depths.
Agreed.
Every single court, a free throw is exactly the same.
Yep, agreed.
Make your free throws, right? So yes, I get what you're saying, and it does matter sample size, and it does matter if you're hitting, 85% on never, right? Who's the team we talked about on Notice the other day? They're third in the country in free throws, but they had only shot 112 as a team.
Right.
It matters. It does matter, but not when you're Wisconsin, not when you're Tennessee, not when you're Purdue, not when you're Mizzou.
Yep.
Make all your free throws. Make all your free. Doesn't matter how many there are. Make them all.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more. Last thing, Team A. Would you rather have Team A at 4th in field goal and 115th in 3, or Team B at 10th in field goal percentage and 27th in 3?
See, and that's why I didn't pull the 3-pointers.
That's all I'm saying. Now, I know we want to get to on notice. Let me give a quick shout out. I want to revisit something really quick. Beginning of the season, Rick and I talked about mid-majors on notice. You had a really good one, VCU. They're performing unbelievably well right now. I had McNeese, the Cowboys.
Cowboy baby.
They are back, brother. 20-6 overall, 14-1 in conference, 4-game win streak. Mind you, this is a team that lost to Bama by 8 and Mississippi State by 3. They held Bama to 72 points and Mississippi State to 66 points early in the season. Like, they weren't even clicking yet. I'm not even going to talk about their offense. They need to improve that side of the ball. 13th in scoring defense, and they've held teams to sub 55 points 8 times out of 26 games. 39th in field goal percentage defense. They're holding opponents to a 0.8 assist to turnover ratio, which is 16th best in the country. Opponents are only making 21 field goals against this team, which is 7th best in the country. And this is where I love this team. 6th in the country in first half points allowed. They come out and they smack you in the damn face. They're only allowing 27 points in first halves this year. I want to go into more. They're going to win their conference. They should end the season on a 5-game win streak, which would bring their entire win streak up to 9. You don't want this team in March Madness. You do not want to play this team in March Madness. I don't know what seed they're going to be, but anybody that's a 5 and below or a 6 and below, you got to play McNeese. You're losing. You're losing that.
I have it as a 13.
13. So they're going to play was that a 4, right?
Yeah.
5,
yep.
4. They could beat a 4 seed. There's going to be some trash 4 seed that's not going to be prepared for this team. So let me stop there.
You know who it is. You know who it is?
Who?
Maryland.
It might be Maryland, dude. It might be Maryland. But if you haven't watched this team play, go check them out, man. They're a hell of a team. I have them at 25 right now. I think they deserve it.
We've got an eclectic mix of teams on notice this week. I feel like we've done a really good job highlighting different levels of basketball in different regions of the country.
Agreed.
I'll go through Oregon quick to get us back some time.
Yep.
18-8, 8th in the Big Ten. They are good enough at everything. 48th in free throw percentage. Now, we just talked about sample size. They don't get to the line a whole hell of a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
But they will probably win 4 or 5. They'll end the season with 22 wins. I have Oregon as a top 10 seed. Just watch for Oregon. This is a team that has made a lot of noise with the Pac-12. This is a good basketball team program, right? There's new kids, but
yeah.
First year in the Big Ten, win 22 games, make some noise in the tournament, go to the big tournament and do something that's good enough for me. Watch out for Oregon.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, we had them up at 13 at one point, or like 10 or something like that. They were getting some big wins. And I think the Purdue loss, I think, kind of set them on the wrong track. I don't think they ever fully bounced back from that, but I agree. I'm going to go.
I've got them at 31.
31. I haven't even looked to see where they would be in mine, to be honest. Where are they in Ken Palm? 35th in Ken Palm. Okay. Yeah, they weren't a look. I want a different route. New Mexico, man. And I'm sad to say this because they swept the season series against my favorite team and the best team in Utah, our number 25 seed, Utah State. 8-game win streak, 22-4 overall, 14-1 in conference play. And they have a big test coming up against San Diego State on 2/25. I'd like to look at that as a potential game of the week. Offense, 16th in scoring offense. Here you go. I got one for you. 16th in free throw attempts per game. 33rd in free throws made per game. You want to see that efficiency be a little bit better, but they're getting to the line and they're making them. They're 69th in the country in assists per game. I really like the way they move the ball. And they have a really solid assist to turnover ratio, so they take care of it very well, 1.3. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me, right? Because you look at the defensive side of the ball for them, And they're 161st in scoring defense, allowing 71 points per game, which is really not that much. But they do everything else right. It's amazing, dude. They're 16th in the country in forced turnovers at 15 a game. They're 26th in steals at 9 a game. They're 11th in blocks at 5.4 blocks a game. They don't give a crap if you're going to the rim. They are contesting every single shot. On top of that, right, so 11th in blocks, they're only allowing 13 free throws made per game. So they're doing a great job at defending without fouling, like they did against Utah State twice. They did against San Diego State once already. And they're 14th in the country in rebounds and 21st in defensive rebounds. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out because I think there's going to be 2 teams that make the tournament from this conference. I think it's going to be New Mexico and Utah State. And those 2 teams have looked great all year. You don't want to see them. You don't want to see them in March Madness. So they're on notice for me because they should win out now that they have the toughest test of the season done in Utah State. They're going to be a tough. I could see them being, a 5 seed, to end the year and get into the tournament with. So keep an eye on New Mexico, man. Very, very good team.
Come in just a little bit west. GCU. I came to this one not based on anything. I haven't had a chance to watch them play, so I will own that here. I haven't watched them this year, but I feel like the reason I haven't watched them this year is because they haven't been worth watching this year. GCU has really made a name for themselves as a small conference king, playing really good basketball. They recruit well, they play well, they're coached well, they're disciplined.
Yeah.
Number 98 in Ken Palm. They're going to the Mountain West in 2026.
Yep.
This team might get blasted.
I saw that comment. I love it.
Like they're 12th in steals, 18th in blocks.
Yeah.
Cool. And I fucked my camera again. I'm having lighting issues today. Blurry face. That's the new thing. 12th in steals, 18th in blocks, but they don't do anything else well at all.
Yeah.
Like they're really kind of bad.
Yeah.
And that's not indicative, I think, of the talent. I think it's indicative of trying to do too much with too little. Like they exceeded in the past 5 years by playing into who they are. This year, their peripherals suck. All of their numbers suck. If you just took it as a vacuum and plugged it in, like this is one of the worst teams in any conference, and they're getting by on talent, and there's something to be said for that, right? I mean, that's basketball, right? Individual performances is basketball, but you lose to UC Davis, you lose to La Tech, you lose to Utah Valley, you get smoked by Cal Baptist.
Yeah, not lost.
That's not the GCU we're used to, and a GCU team that doesn't win the tournament doesn't make March Madness. It doesn't happen.
No.
So when I'm looking at the end of their year, that's play Utah Valley and Cal Baptist again.
Yeah.
Those are 2 of your worst losses of the year. So GCU is on notice for me because you have crafted this pedigree.
Yeah, agreed.
Through sheer determination. Like there's people that wouldn't even be able to tell you where Grand Canyon University is.
I just found out recently.
God damn it. We live here. Anyway, they're better than this.
Yeah.
But all that matters is right now. All that matters is do you win these games? And GCU has played themselves into a position where if you don't win the conference tournament, you're not even an afterthought. You are nothing.
Correct.
Like you're not going to Vegas for that new tournament I keep forgetting the name of. And you might get an NIT bid, but there's a lot of really shitty ACC teams.
Yep.
So GCU might be looking at like the CBI or staying home because you just haven't done enough. Like these are not good teams you're losing to.
Yep.
So I don't know. I haven't seen a game, and I haven't looked at the recruiting. But you're trying to join the Mountain West?
Yeah. No.
So GCU's on notice because not this year, but next year, you step up.
Yeah, well, that, and they were a tournament team, I believe, a Sweet 16 team last year, weren't they? So That's what the hell happened. But I really like your on notice call there. I'm going to go George Mason. And they're on notice for me because where the hell did they come from, dude? Like, we were talking about the A10 early in the season. You had VCU. I had Dayton, right? George Mason is beating the ever-loving crap out of both those teams right now. They're 21-5 overall. They're 12-1 in conference, including 11 straight wins. They've won 11 straight, and it really hasn't been close games. Like, they're winning convincingly. And I'm starting to now, as we're getting into March Madness, free throws and defense is going to win you the championship, right? We've talked about this over and over, right? And, offensively, there's a lot to be desired, but, again, they're 47th in the country in free throws attempted and 77th in makes. So they're getting to the line. They're being aggressive. They're 12th in the country in three-point percentage. They're shooting 38.9% from three. So I just, I really like the way that they kind of slow down on offense. They don't score a lot of points, 72 points a game, which is 247th in the country, right? But they don't turn the ball over. I mean, they don't really move the ball all that well. They're 238th in assists. So, if they're going to make a dark horse run like they did a few years ago, like that's not going to work. So they got to clean up that side. But their defense is like St. John's level defense. They're 9th in the country in scoring defense at 62 points a game. They have held opponents to sub 60 points 13 times out of 26 games. That is George Mason. Like, who the hell is George Mason? 3rd in field goal defense, only allowing 37% shooting. And they've held opponents to sub 38%, Rick. Sub 38% from the field 17 times out of 26 games. And sub 35% 11 times out of 26 games. They're 18th in three-point defense. So teams can't even shoot against them. And they are only allowing 21 made field goals per game, which is 11th best in the country. This team is on notice for me because if they put up this type of defensive effort, it doesn't matter if you're in the A10. It doesn't matter if you're in the SEC. That type of defense and that level of defense is going to win you games, and it has won them games, 11 straight, to be clear. So they're on notice for me because they're going to win their conference. If they don't win their conference, it doesn't matter because they're going to get an at-large bid, just given how convincingly they're winning games. And it's another one of those teams, right, that we just talked about with McNeese. Do you want George Mason in the first round? Like, probably not, right? So I'd like to see them finish the year strong. They got VCU, Fordham, Duquesne, LaSalle, and Richmond to end the season. I think VCU might get them once. So they should either go 5-0 or 4-1, which would put them at 26-5. Like, that's a hell of a record for George Mason. Yeah. So good team, really, really good team, and watch out for him.
We got one note.
What is it?
The road to the A10 championship still goes through Richmond, Virginia. They haven't beaten VCU. They only play once this year.
Oh, they haven't beat. Oh, I was thinking Dayton. I'm sorry. I think they beat Dayton.
Yeah, they beat Dayton's ass like a drum.
Yeah. They beat Dayton.
But yeah, I love the call out. Absolutely love the call out. George Mason. By the way, a founding father of the United States.
Yeah. Also, where the hell is George Mason? I have no idea where that's cool.
Virginia, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking Washington, D.C., but like obviously not.
That's pretty much Virginia.
Yeah.
Fairfax County, Virginia.
There you go.
So yeah, it is. Yeah, D.C. The DMV area. DMV people.
Yeah. So I really like the way they play. I'm excited to see them make some noise. So,
all right, you ready?
This was the obvious choice. I love your choice. And now that Riley's in the damn chat, if he doesn't put his answer in the chat, I'm gonna be pissed off.
You're assuming he's still watching.
Oh, true.
Can I get a shout out for this fucking Wolverine?
Yeah, it kind of look.
That's an official logo that they used in the 40s.
Michigan's 19 for us?
Yeah, 18, 19.
Wow, this is going to be a game, dude.
Game of the week, you say? Obviously a rivalry game.
Yep.
I'm going to let you get deep on the basketball. State is better.
Yep.
Better on defense. They're better on the boards. They're better at the line. But the thing that's not captured here right now is that Michigan State plays Purdue tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep.
This is a trap game of all fucking trap games.
Yep.
And after this game, it doesn't get easier, it gets worse.
Yep.
Michigan State is probably the worst positioned of any team to go into the postseason. So that's the huge call out for me. Michigan State is better.
Agreed.
I am very concerned about Michigan State in this game.
I agree. And it's funny because I feel like the past couple of game of the weeks have been strength versus strength. Michigan State does just enough on offense to let their ungodly defense win them games. So this is what I think it's going to come down to. And let me make sure that I'm choosing the right stats here. I have like 3 pages of stats on this game, but I'm going to try to whittle it down. Michigan is 6th in first half scoring offense at 41 points on average, right? But Michigan State is 57th best in the country in first half scoring defense, only allowing 31. Something's going to freaking give. I think that if Michigan State comes out and gets to the line where they're massively efficient at 8th in free throws made per game and 27th in attempts, and they go into the half with a 5 to 6 point lead and only allowing Michigan anywhere between 30 and 35 points, I think they win the game, right? I think if Michigan comes out hot, right, where they're 57th in made threes per game at 9 made threes per game and outplays the 8th best Michigan State three-point defense, only allowing 28% from three. I think if Michigan comes out and has 5 or 6 threes in the first half, game's over. I think Michigan wins.
Well, in Michigan coming off of 5 days of rest for this game.
Yeah, agreed.
Michigan State plays Purdue. Michigan is sitting at home. It is a home game.
Yep.
And Michigan has looked really, really good ever since they got blown out by Purdue.
By 30. Yep.
Including beating Purdue.
Yep.
So I'm concerned about the spot. I'm concerned about the look ahead. I'm concerned about how Michigan State has to finish the year.
Yeah, I agree.
Model makes this Michigan State 2.5. And I don't like it at all. I wouldn't bet this game. I would not bet this game as a better. Maybe the under. If the under comes in around like 144.5, if the total comes in like 144.5, bet the under. I can see this being 68, 65, one way or the other.
I think I'm concerned. I'm not concerned about Michigan State's defense or Michigan's offense. I think the reason why the scales are tilted for me here is Michigan's defense is going to be the X factor, right? Like they get wildly handsy on defense. So even though they might be coming off of rest, which may help them slide their feet, maybe they're going to be laterally quicker because they're coming off of 5 days of rest, like you just said. They're 190th in the country in fouls committed per game at 18 fouls committed per game. And I don't know if that's going to work against a Michigan State offense that is forcing teams to foul them 20 times a game, which is 18th best in the country. I think that there is the X factor. And for me, why I think Michigan State is going to, in fact, win this game, but very closely. I think 2 is scary. I can see this being a 1-point win by Michigan State, right? But I don't think Michigan does enough on the defensive side of the ball to win them the game. So I'm going to take Michigan State. I'm going to take it in the barn burner, anywhere between 1 to 3 points.
My official pick is Michigan State money line.
Michigan State money line? Yeah, okay.
But here's one for you.
Yeah.
I have 5 Big Ten teams as top 5 seeds. Sorry. Let me check my language.
Yeah, please.
As 5 seed or higher. I have 5 Big Ten teams in the top 25 of the final standings.
Yeah.
And these are 2 of them. These are 2 of them.
Wisconsin, Purdue, Michigan State, Maryland, and Michigan. Yeah, I could see that.
All his 5 seeds are higher.
Yep. So you're taking Michigan State, and I'm also taking Michigan State in this game.
Yeah, okay. I don't like it. Like I said, models 2.5 Michigan State. We'll see where Vegas comes in.
Michigan just they're just young, dude. Like they make too many mistakes, man. Like they're 340. I'm like looking through my notes now again, and it's like they're 345th in the country in turnovers, Rick. They're committing 15 turnovers a game. Like they're dynamic, they're explosive, they can shoot the ever-loving hell out of the basketball, but I just think there's a couple holes in their scheme that I think Michigan State can exploit given better coaching. I think the more that I'm sitting on this, the more I'm thinking it's like Michigan State by 5.
So I mean, I'm with you, but my question is, this is the rivalry that matters in basketball, right? Yeah. This is the basketball. Nobody gives a shit about Ohio State in basketball.
No.
This is the game that matters. So if you can't get your young kids up for this,
I agree.
Most of them were recruited to both schools, right? So most of them picked Michigan over Michigan State. If they can't get up for this, if this isn't your best game of the year, you've recruited wrong.
Agreed.
So I feel like pick is still Michigan State, but like I feel like most of your fears about like Michigan's youth and how loose they play, like this is the get right game, right? 5 days of rest, coming off Michigan State playing Purdue, who is the best team in the Big Ten. If you can't get this right at home, you don't deserve to be in there.
Yeah, I agree. And that's a really good way to look at it. The coach has to have them boys prepped. Like, yeah. If Michigan State wins this game by 20, is Michigan a top 5 seed in the tourney?
Probably, because the ACC is so bad.
Yeah, true.
What's it be, Duke?
Good point. I want to. If you're not going to go on Chainlink, which Rick's going to get into in a second, put it in the damn comments. My dad is the only one that has commented on Game of the Week.
True.
He's 80. You are getting outsmarted by an 80-year-old in technology. Like,
Riley's watching right now. Oh, here's how we pick Game of the Week. Riley, we're going to continue talking, but drop in the chat who you're picking in this game. Everybody else, you bet the opposite. I've made a ton of money this year fading Riley's Chainlink picks.
It will be on Chainlink.
If you have not played our free game, Chainlink, it is the best sports pick app on the internet. Easily. That is from an independent. No, it was me. I said it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah,
Riley says, "Got that dude with the sword and shield." All right, so Michigan money line. Michigan money line is the pick of the week.
God damn it,
Riley. So make sure you lock that in. Hey, next week is our bracketology. God, I fucked my camera again. It's dark in here. Next week is our bracketology show. So if you're into guesses that won't come, that bothers the hell out of me. If you're into guesses that won't come to fruition, or people just talking randomly about shit that really is random.
Yeah.
Our bracketology show has all that.
It sure does.
So, Justin, we're going to have to touch base because much like tonight, we have The Bachelor running right behind this show.
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful of that. So bracketology might come your way as a secret third segment. Bracketology might come your way as the live show, and we film the actual show for publication later. We will figure that out.
Yeah, we will.
But what I need from everybody here is I need your first 4 out. I need your first 4 out.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because that's what's most important. Those are the people most mad. If your team sucks and you miss the tournament, no one cares.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
If you were number 69, nice. People care about that. People are like, oh, well, Northwestern could have gone deep in the tournament, but they left us out. Give me your first 4 out in the comments.
Okay.
And we'll work that into the show.
Perfect. And I just got reminded by my father that he's not 80, he's 84. So you're getting outsmarted by an 84-year-old, which is wild. Put it in the comments, please. Force 4 out, and who do you think is going to win game of the week? And if you're too lazy, that's a shame, because you should download Chainlink and do it on there too, because it's awesome. So that's all I got.
If you're watching live right now, we're jumping over. It's time for Bachelor. If you are not playing the Rose League, which is the only live scored fantasy Bachelor app on the internet, you are missing out. But if you are one of the people still watching this show and you're not signed up yet, you go. I will personally Venmo you your entry fee back. Let's play some Fantasy Bachelor tonight. ABC in about 2 minutes. Let's go.
Good luck. Good luck. It's a fun show. Last thing I'll say, I said earlier this season, and this is going to be a preview for bracketology. Said earlier this season that Iowa State's going to win March Madness and win the championship. I'm going to double down, and I'm going to say Iowa State is going to win March Madness. They're going to win the championship this year. This is a preview.
Take it to the bank.
I should.
Thanks for joining us. Dead Ball Dancing. We will see you next week for some bracketology.
All right. Peace, y'all. It's going to be a fun one.